Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of your Brains Coach podcast. My name is Angela Shurina. I'm your host, I'm your Brains Coach, and it is my job here to bring to you all the best, cutting edge, most recent, most effective, fascinating, and sometimes weird brain body tools you can use to take better control of your biology, of your brain, of your body, to feel, look, and do your absolute best. Today, folks, I decided to do an update on motivation, on the latest research, and of course, all the practical tools that you can use to upgrade your motivation. I believe a lot of people, or sometimes I myself, we don't realize how much control minute to minute we have over our motivation and how actually dynamic it is and how fast it can change. That's why I never really ruminate, and that's what you hear from a lot of entrepreneurs and business owners and high performers. They don't think about motivation too often because they know it comes and goes, and they also know that they can adjust it. Like, for example, that's why I love starting my day, and that's why I recommend all of my clients to start their day with some movement. And it doesn't have to be a lot. It can be of just 5 minutes of different movements like squats, jump squats, burpees, or going for a walk, or doing a few push-ups or pull-ups, because that changes your brain chemistry. For example, it releases more dopamine, it releases more adrenaline, and also changes your blood circulation, etc. But the point is, your brain chemistry, your body chemistry, your metabolism, they instantly change. And because of that, your motivation levels that do depend on certain molecules more than on others, like, for example, your dopamine that is boosted by exercise. And so then your motivation level increases. And instead of waiting for that motivation to exercise, if you just start taking action, this also is called behavioral activation. And in psychology, they use it as a tool, basically teaching people to focus on action first and then expect feelings and thoughts to change. So if you're sitting in your room, in your apartment, and you're not feeling like doing something, just start taking action, some action. It doesn't even have to be related to what you feel you need to do or you should do. Just some action, and the way you feel will almost instantly start changing. So behavioral activation, action first. But back to the main concept of today's conversation, motivation is a dynamic thing, and it can be changed by what you eat, by what you do, by your lifestyle, because one of the major molecules of motivation, dopamine, is influenced by all of these factors, from your energy levels to your environment, to what you've done previously and what you're anticipating and what you're doing right now. Even the weather, how much sun you get, also will affect the levels of dopamine. That's why, for example, right now, the Northern Hemisphere, I'm in the Southern Hemisphere in Cape Town, South Africa. But in Northern Hemisphere, days are getting shorter and you get less and less light. And dopamine is also light sensitive. So if you want to feel more motivated even in the darker days of Northern Hemisphere today, get some of those circadian lamps that are super affordable, super cheap, super available everywhere. And they are actually used to improve mood and vitality, this feeling of wanting to do things, and yes, motivation. So get one of those lamps to boost your dopamine every single day to feel more motivated. So that being said, motivation is dynamic, and it depends on higher levels of dopamine consistently. And you can change that level of dopamine by different tools related to your biology, by your environment, and also your self-talk and your goal setting and how you frame different experiences, or even what you focus on, either on achieving a specific result. I was talking to my mom yesterday, And I was telling her about how I just made plans for the end of the year, for taking vacation, and then also for our birthdays in summer. And I told her that it instantly made me feel motivated for all the hard work that I need to do to get there. And she's like, well, whatever does it for you. But it's been shown by scientists, by research, that just by thinking about things that excite you, things that you want to create, or anticipating of things that are coming will boost that level of dopamine. So in that sense, imagining certain exciting futures or having your vision boards, they do help you to stay more motivated and put in more hard work into whatever needs to be done to get into that future. But today, yes, we're gonna focus on, for the next few minutes, on updated research on motivation and how you can use your psychology, different ways of how you look at goals, set your goals, to again boost that motivation to get things done, to get more things done consistently, to shape your results, your life experiences in the desired way. So one of the recent piece of researches that just literally came out and on all geeky or more science-based podcast that has something to do with mindset and personal excellence or achievement or anything really related to self-improvement and working on ourselves, still talking about this piece of research, that what scientists showed, and they did this research on 1,600 people, actually in Africa, where I am. And so they did this research and they made people work on certain goals. And for some people, they framed the whole process as a journey that they will continue. And achieving a goal is a part of that journey. And then for some people, they framed it as a destination. Well, this is the goal, the prize. Yeah, we're gonna work on achieving that. And the difference was, I haven't really read or haven't heard about the exact wording, but the difference was, in one instance, they had different groups in those 1,600 people. So in one instance, they framed the achievement of the goal as part of the journey. And in the other instance, for other groups, they framed it as a destination, final destination in itself. And what was interesting and consistent is that for people who for whom they framed it as a part of their journey, they continued to participate in the habits, in their new behaviors, even after they hit the milestone. And for people who thought about as a destination in itself, is kind of like end point, not part of any journey, they seem to have much less motivation, and actually they took less action took less action on the same goal. Like, for example, if they were assigned certain weight loss goal and change of certain behaviors in their eating behavior or their exercise, if they told them that that was a part of the journey, people were more likely to continue those behaviors even after they hit a certain goal. Whereas if for people it was a final destination, people were much more likely to quit. And today, while walking to the gym for my high-intensity interval workouts that I do once a week, there was a guy in front of me, a random guy, but he had a backpack. And on that backpack, there was a word identity. There was something else, but identity, maybe it was a brand or something else. Identity. And it made me think, when we think of our behaviors as a part of the journey towards building or maintaining that new identity, that's when we stick with new behaviors even after we achieve certain milestone. And I believe that's why also I'm on a personal journey of building my business. My fitness kind of, it's good. It's part of my identity. I don't need to do anything to stick with the behaviors that I have or even improve them. It's been such a huge part of my identity that it will never change unless something drastic happens. But anyhow, back to the idea. Business is a different kind of animal for me. It hasn't been a part of my culture at home, and because I created so much content, clients kind of came, but I never learned how to actually intentionally build business and grow my business. And so now I have to adopt a lot of new business habits, and I find it easier to do when I think of myself as a successful business owner. And when I start asking myself, what would a business owner do in this instant? And even when I'm hitting certain goal posts, I am much more likely to keep continuing these behaviors when I think more and more about the identity and about this period being just a stepping stone on my journey of becoming and being and growing as a business owner. So that's how you can use it and how you can frame it for yourself, the new behaviors, the new habits that you're working on. If you frame it as a part of the journey of becoming this person, of building new identity, of creating new reality for yourself. So yes, you have certain goals, but this is still a continuous journey. Kind of like if you imagine a road and you have different posts on that road, like one city or one village, or it shows how many miles, or there is some other post that says, okay, you are here on your journey towards somewhere, or just on a journey. So imagine now your habits, your long-term habits and new behaviors. Sorry, my throat a little bit after workout stuck. So now imagine all of your goals are just those posts on this never-ending road, on this never-ending highway. And what research that just came out shows is if you look at your new habits, your behaviors, and your goals as a part of this never-ending journey of your life, you're more likely to continue engaging with the behaviors that are beneficial to you. So that's one piece of research that everyone seems to be talking about. So it's the journey. And that's what you find also among all the people you admire who succeed long-term at certain things. They don't ever look at a final destination. They look at it as a part of the journey. Okay, I got this result, I lost that much weight, or I made that much money, I grew my business by that much, but then it's a part of the journey and they just keep growing and improving. And it's like also back to one of the most favorite Tony Robbins quote, in life, you are either growing or dying. We humans kind of not that great at standing still. And so if you always in the process of moving, or using Albert Einstein's quote, life is like bicycle, you keep or you balance by moving, right? Something like that. Okay, I need to look up that Albert Einstein quote before quoting it. But life is like bicycle. You keep pedaling, keep moving, and that's how you keep the balance. That's how you keep going. So frame your goal is just a part of your journey towards your new identity that's never going to end. Life is always a journey towards that identity that is always transforming and building. And again, back to this idea, motivation is always dynamic. And so what motivates you right now, the kind of goals, the kind of aspirations, not probably going to be motivating for you in a few months from now, or maybe a few weeks or a few years. And that's totally okay. And that's where when you're losing motivation, you gotta ask yourself constantly, okay, is this still important to me? Am I still on this journey? Or I need to update my map and perhaps change the road to be on a different kind of more motivating journey. Now, the second aspect of motivation, also based on recent data and research. So they study motivation a lot. The reason is because it's important, for example, to motivate people to buy stuff. And that's why there is so much money also goes into motivational research, because a lot of companies are interested in, okay, what does motivate people? What make people take action? Or things like buying stuff, or voting or changing their behavior around energy conservation. So motivation is the key to getting results when working with people. That's why so much finance is pumped into this research. And here is what's coming out of the research labs today. So they also noticed doing this research that motivation is strongest at the beginning when you get some wins and when you feel like the goal you set for yourself is something manageable. So if you feel like the goal that you set for yourself is demotivating, or it's too high, or it's too hard and it's unachievable, you're not going to have a lot of motivation. Back to biology, your brain is always trying to make you waste less energy because energy is the currency of life and your survival depends on it. And so when your brain feels and you feel inside that the goal is unachievable, unattainable, you lose motivation really fast because your brain basically is telling you this is a waste of your energy. So go pursue something that has a higher probability of success and return on your invested energy, right? But so back to your goal setting. When you approach any goal, however hard, impossible, and long, it's a really good idea to break that goal down into smaller steps and make your first step something that you for sure can win, something that is manageable. And that's how you spark your motivation and actually reduce your procrastination by a lot. A lot of people ask me, a lot of entrepreneurs, founders who are working on their thing and who need to push themselves consistently, they ask me, Angela, how do I work with my procrastination? How do I make myself do the hard thing instead of avoiding it in all the possible ways? And I always tell them, lower the bar of your first action. Okay, you have this big goal, project, milestone, but break it down psychologically for yourself and make especially the first step very easy to do. And that goes back to the idea, make it easy for yourself to win the first round. And that's how you boost your motivation. That's how you show your brain there is progress and there is a possibility for you to achieve this. And this is how you increase your dopamine that cares about rewards and progress. And that's how you get motivated at the beginning of pursuing a goal, even if the goal is super hard. But make the beginning a winning beginning. And the research was talking about how it is important to feel at the beginning of pursuit of anything that it is achievable, attainable, and it is important to win at the beginning to boost that motivation. And so now for hard goals, for things that are uncertain, sometimes feels impossible, what you do is you focus only on the next step and you make it small and you make it a winnable step. And that's how you boost motivation and remove procrastination and get into action much faster. And as you can notice, it's all in your head. It's how you control your focus. The same skill Navy SEALs learn when they have uncertain big mission and they have no control over most of the things. They focused on the smallest possible, shortest step ahead that they have control of and that they can win. And that's exactly the same thing you do for your hard, impossible goals as an entrepreneur, as a founder, someone who's trying to change things, a lot of things that you haven't done before. You psychologically break down that goal into smaller and smaller steps. The first one, making it easy, winnable, and exciting. And that's how you boost your motivation at the beginning. That research shows is very, very important. Now, research also shows that in the middle, our motivation is the lowest. Like if you take any distance, any achievement of any goal, in the middle of that journey, your motivation is going to be the lowest. And what researchers recommend is make the middle shorter. Like if you have a marathon to run, focus, and that's exactly what elite athletes actually do, focus only on the next mile, on the next person to overcome on the next day of work, on the next hour of work. So make, again, back to the idea of breaking bigger, longer, harder journey down into smaller and smaller steps. That's important because in the middle, for whichever reason, probably because we feel like, we spent so much resource and we still have a lot to go. But what research also shows is that in the middle, for people across the board, for whichever goal we decide to pursue, motivation is the lowest. So if we take a month and you decide to go, this month I'm going to lose 4 kilograms. In the middle of that month, your motivation is going to be the lowest. That's when you're going to more likely you're going to quit or want to quit. And so the recommendation from researchers is that break down your goals into smaller and smaller and smaller chunks and make the middle tiny. Also, the same goes for your work. If you have a weekly goal, break it down into daily goals and have daily milestones to focus on and to celebrate. Also, what research shows is that in that middle, we feel the least like reaching out for help, for motivation, for support, even though when we do reach out and we do ask for help and we do look for sources of motivation in other people, that actually helps us the most, but we feel like doing it the least, probably because we're not feeling that great in that middle. It's like we did something, we maybe got some results, maybe not, but there is a still long way to go. So we feel the least motivated, and we also feel the least like asking for help, like searching for sources of motivation. But also research shows that actually in that moment, when we do reach out, when we do ask for help, when we do ask or reach and look for motivation, that helps us the most to keep going. So in that middle, when you feel the least motivated and you feel like not reaching out to many people for support and more motivation, that's exactly the time when you should do it. That's a very practical step, guys. If you are on your founder, entrepreneurial, builder's journey and you're going through that middle where still a lot of, long way to go, you're not certain, not sure, your motivation again at its lowest, that's the time to ask for help, to ask for advice, to ask for motivation, to look at other people's example, to look at your personal heroes, whether remotely or in person, to watch their social media. That's when you want to motivate yourself to look for these additional sources of motivation, of support, of help. So middle, it's sticky, it's messy, so make it shorter, but also reach out for support and help. Another interesting piece of research that relates to the end of the journey. There are 2 pieces of interesting information. I found it fascinating. First of all, at the end, when we are closer to achieving our goal, we're like, I almost got it, right? I almost finished this marathon, or I almost got to my business goal, my income goal, or my profits, my sales goal, or I'm almost there. Just one more, push. We do feel more motivated. Even animals feel more motivated when they're about to receive reward, like food or at the end of the maze or something else. So even they do feel more motivated, like dopamine levels increase. So at the end, your brain really pushes you, like you almost got it, right? So at the end, you do feel more motivated. But they also notice that when you see that the win is almost guaranteed, like you have, for example, a certain sales goal, or you have a certain weight goal at the end, you kind of relax. You're like, I got it. And you start screwing up more. Or maybe it's the end of your presentation, or maybe it's the end of some game or some competition, and you feel like, I'm ahead of everyone. Guess what happens? Your motivation, if you're in a competition, your motivation goes down because you think you kind of got it and you relax. But people who feel like this is the end of the journey and we still have a chance, their motivation goes up. And there is a possibility that you might lose because you relax, and they might win because their motivation level, actually their dopamine level, goes up, up, up. So there is this contradiction that when we are trying to hit a certain target and we're feeling like we're winning and we're close to the end, we do relax. And we might actually screw up our results by relaxing. But if we just keep pushing and go at just as strong or even stronger, then we'll get much better results. And what researchers recommend is that you update your comparison if you feel like you're relaxing, like it's end of the year, maybe you are relaxing and you're like, I'll just do it next year. I'll just coast along for the rest of the year. So what researchers tell us, if you want to finish strong this year or anything, update what you compare yourself to. Compare yourself to the numbers that you got last year. Compare yourself to somebody who's actually putting in more work and getting more results at the end of the year. Compare yourself to something that brings in a little bit of a challenge instead of feeling like, I got it, everybody is relaxing, so why should I care? So what researchers recommend is update your comparison to feel more motivated at the end when you feel like taking it easy for whichever reason. And I found this also to be very, very useful because now end of the year and everyone is kind of in this, let's just relax. But not everyone. Some people keep pushing and keep this momentum going into new year and start getting results much, much earlier. Whereas a lot of people, I feel like, just wasting their whole December and half of November for taking it easy, not doing much, and then half of January just warming up. Imagine how much actually you are losing of that possibility, opportunity, momentum, and things that you might have gotten if you just kept going as strong. The same for your weight loss, for your fitness, for your health. Don't relax, keep going strong till the 31st. And then relax a little bit and keep going. See how much more result you actually get. And that's about it. What I wanted to share with you from motivation research. Again, a very lucrative kind of research, because what motivates human behavior, it's the key to unlocking potential in almost every business endeavor, any change on a society level, in science, in technology, in climate change, in anything. When you figure out what motivates human behavior and how to move people in the desired direction of taking action, there is so much possibility and opportunity we can unlock in ourselves and people around us, our customers and our collaborators on different causes. That being said, so today you learned, to recap, that when you frame goal attaining as a part of your continuous journey instead of final destination in itself, you're much, much, much more likely to continue taking action and maintaining your habits, like in lifestyle or in business, even after you hit the milestone. Motivation at the beginning is very important for enrolling into the journey. Like also, if you have clients and you need them to feel motivated to keep going on this longer project, make sure that you help them to win early on. Give them something that's gonna help them feel like they're progressing and the goal is attainable, right? So motivation at the beginning is very important. Lower the bar, make yourself win, break down the bigger goal into smaller chunks, right? For procrastination, lower the bar, take action, make yourself win, and then you're gonna feel more motivated to continue. Middle is the messiest. That's when you feel the lowest motivation. So two things: break down your goal into smaller and smaller chunks, so the middle is actually shorter. And then also ask for help, ask for support, look for motivation. And that's where you need it the most. And that's where it's going to make the biggest difference for you, not quitting, but pushing it stronger and harder. Then closer to the end, your motivation, when you feel like you almost got the goal, but you might not be that sure, your motivation will increase to get that prize. But if you feel like, I got it, it's easy, it's guaranteed, especially in the competition, you might relax and your motivation can go down like at the end of the year. But don't let that happen if you want to keep momentum going and to get more results and to stop wasting so much time because you feel like it's easy or everyone is relaxing. Instead, change your comparison. Compare yourself to your numbers last year. Compare yourself to someone who is still pushing and doing so amazing. Change the comparison and your motivation will change. And that's about it. Hope you found this very useful. Please do understand that your motivation is very, very dynamic and you can change it with biology, with environment and light and your self-talk and where you focus and how you break down your goal. All of this will change your motivation levels and it all that matters for your goal achievement and also for building long-term habits. Listen to this episode over and over and over again. Please, guys, do share this episode with at least one other person who you feel might need this motivation. Maybe they're in the messy middle and they need to understand that they have so much more control over their motivation. So share this podcast with that person who might need this additional source of motivation. And what else? Stay tuned. And, today is Wednesday, so it's a messy middle. Think about how you can break down your weekly goal into shorter chunks. So today you get to win, you make the middle shorter to make the end stronger and to get more of your goals achieved. Thank you so much for tuning in. Stay motivated. You have a lot more control over your motivation. Share this podcast and I'll talk to you very soon. Thank you for listening.